Do you think I can nail that one? Oh, there we go. Any youngsters looking at this are like, man, this game sucks. But look at these top-notch graphics here. Those are helicopters. I'm a sort of tank or something, I guess. I don't know. Here we go. Let's nail this guy. Boom. It's like those guys that always sing about Costco, eh? Boom. Stephanie's probably blown away, but the graphics. You'd be like, man, this is amazing. Look at that, I got 26 points. Oh, I'm almost done. It's flashing. Get working. Work it. Can't hit the broadside of a barn. No, I think I'm done. No bullets. 27 though. Let's see what this text is about here. Gotta look at the old ChakaalStarRunnies, you know? All right. You know what they advertised back in the day? See how it says 27 video games? Because there'd be all these different variants of the same game. What's this one? Surround. Oh, it's like Tron. You're probably supposed to be playing 2 players. Pretty hard when you're going against not even an AI. You'll quit that one, that's boring. What's this one? Arcade to home.
The reason that Atari created the Atari 2600 home console was to put their arcade hits into the home. If we can sell home versions of our arcade hit games into the home, we can sell millions of them instead of just take quarters from the thousands of people who go to arcades. And so the hardware was designed
Makes sense.
to make it possible to play Tank and Pong. That's about all that they did in the hardware.
So the distinction is this. CoinUp gets to use more expensive hardware. They get to use tons and tons of hardware, and they get to refresh their hardware all the time.
I had played an Outlaw-like game in the arcade. I think it was Midway. And you know, I was just told to make a game, so I said, well, here's an idea, 2 guys shooting at each other. And so I made that game. My goal is to try to make it like the arcade game, so I can look at the arcade game and say, this is what it has to do. So there really wasn't any need for me to have communication with the arcade guys. I'm particularly
You know, the
proud
first
of
adult game was like an Atari game.
because
It was so wrong, though.
the Atari arcade game
It's called Custer's Revenge. I don't know if they'll talk about it on here, but
in a 2K byte
it's like you're cowboy and there's a native girl tied up to a pole, and you got to get over to her and do the deed.
Arcade game hardware.
When I was young, when I was little, I
I'm
remember
not talking about
drugstore.
rough game, eh?
In their comic book rack, they had these abridged.
There's that people shooting arrows at you and stuff.
Read it, and it was the whole story of Treasure Island. War and Peace, a comic book. But that whole notion of an abridged version, that is what was going to happen.
When I did Donkey Kong, I had, not surprisingly, absolutely no contact with Nintendo. Coleco was able to get me a machine. So I had a machine that I could play and look at, and I had already played the game. And like David said, with Canyon Bomber, the game is the spec. Frankly, the hardware is so different in its capabilities that I can't think of any value I would have had getting in touch with anybody at Nintendo. It's like talking to the guy who created the Porsche Carrera about making a bicycle. I mean, it's like, there's not a lot there. Not a lot you're going to tell me. Here's this masterpiece, and do it on this toaster, you know. And I was young enough and stupid enough to not be intimidated. And I wasn't, because I was just a kid. I was like, no big deal.
Yeah, the games were pretty bad ports back then. There's Outlaw, the one they just showed, Canyon Bomber. See, this is just like that other Sea Battle game, eh? I think I'm the yellow one. Keep switching sides, man. That's confusing. Peter's kicking my butt. Oh, I put my bullet too soon there. Gonna have an upside down pineapple cake your sister made from scratch. That sounds pretty good. Hey, here's 3D tic-tac-toe. Codebreaker, brain games. Here's a memory matching game. That's kind of cool. Code breaking game. There's not actual games for me to play there, but don't watch TV tonight, play it. Well, Activision. Remember back in the day when Activision was back that far back? They were the biggest company ever, and then Microsoft bought them. Last company I expected to get bought, actually. First third-party company. Adventure's impact.
I'd have to say one of the more influential Atari games that hit me hard was Adventure.
Adventure had been a very popular game. Adventure is related to really a nerdy game. It's related to like text adventures or to Dungeons and Dragons more than any of the other things, any of the other intellectual property or content on the 2600.
So many games were just like kind of shooters and, you know, combat and whatnot, things like that that were very simple. But Adventure really broke the mold for what the 2600 was capable of.
This one had the first Easter egg.
I feel like magical, impactful moments on
Because
the
the
Atari games is that
you follow a certain pattern, I guess it shows you the programmer's name.
I saw the cover at the drugstore because that's where we had to buy video games at the drugstore behind the photo counter. And I got it home. I was so excited to play it. I just didn't read the instructions. I just ripped it out of the box and like played it and started playing it. And I was like, oh, and there's Dot, and there's like, you know, the duck chasing me, and I got an arrow, and I can't figure out what's happening. He ate me. Oh my god.
The weird thing about Adventure was the dragons were supposed to be dragons, but they just looked like ducks. I don't know what they were thinking there.
The bridge and the bat, and it was so baffling. I really loved that experience of somewhat confused experience, and I feel like that's actually something I love still in games now. When there's that moment.
This guy's like a big name.
Games can do that. They can just surprise you, and they can make you feel really bewildered. And then as you slowly figure out how they work, that's part of the pleasure.
The Exorcist would be at the end, no, really.
Not knowing what to expect in them. So that moment of being surprised by Adventure is really stuck with me. Another thing I like about Adventure that I tried.
I was more of the competition
is that feeling
at the time. Atari were around.
In that world live, even when
I
you're not.
played in televisions and
Like when the dragon or the bat flies on the screen.
whatever the competitions were to these big ones.
Oh, the bat went over and it stole the shield. It stole the sword, and now it's in the rooms. Like you don't feel like it was just spawned in that room. It's been in another room doing bat adventures.
And what it provided for me was a sense of mystery and exploration that would later influence the 2D adventure games that I would make that would help launch my career.
That guy, that Cliff Bleszinski, is responsible for Gears of War. See, here's the Easter egg. See how it says created by Warren Robinett or whatever. This is one of the most exciting games in the Atari. I wonder which one I am. Oh, I'm orange. Oh, crap.
So one of the first questions they asked me at Atari was, what do you want to work on? So I just said to him, I said, what's the dirtiest, most basic elemental system that you have? And he goes, oh, well, that's the VCS. And I said, well, that's where I want to start.
I mean, the constraints on the programmers were worse than I ever even imagined were possible.
2600 doesn't.
Halo
draw.
2600, I have that game.
It doesn't draw anything. What it does is it has these little logic devices, these counters and shift registers that say this is the start of the screen, this is the left side of the screen. The electron beam is moving to the right. I'm going to count. I know how fast the electron beam is moving. I'm going to count until the electron beam is somewhere on the screen, and then I'm going to change the color on the screen for a little itsy bit.
There's only one console where you have to think about the electron gun moving across the screen and what machine cycle you're on and when you can show stuff on the screen. That's such a fun and unique and annoying challenge that it really hooks you.
It's the most fun I've ever had making a game. What do you say, Dave?
Fun might not be the word. You know, it is.
You made that Canyon Bomber game I just tried a few minutes ago.
When we were doing it at Atari and at Activision, there were fewer than 100 people in the world who could do what we were doing. And that in itself was, you know, very positive, very uplifting. It's really a sense of accomplishment. If you can create something that, you know, a million people love, on this horribly limited piece of hardware, you've created something. You know, have a sense of accomplishment.
And there are very few things more technical challenging than trying to get a game out of the VCS in the first place, because the VCS is a very technically limited machine. It sounds like a fabulous thing, and when it first came out, it was, because people had never seen anything like it.
I don't know if other people are as rewarded by it, but you're overcoming tremendous challenges. There's nothing that's easy to do on the 2600. And you're winning, right? I love winning.
And the other thing that's fun about playing them still is that they're all 60 frames a second. They have to hit that or the screen won't draw, you know? So they're all even much better than I think consoles that came out a few years afterwards. They all feel really fast when you play them. No Atari game has any sort of lag or anything because they had no option to have lag.
It's like when today, in hindsight, people criticize the first screen of Donkey Kong on the 2600. When I finished that screen, I thought it was a miracle. And
I could imagine, actually.
you get people on Facebook today saying it's the biggest piece of junk I ever saw. And you just have to understand the perspective of where you were at the time.
The programmers that worked with that machine were magicians.
This is what it looks like on the inside. Sold 2.5 million copies, and he expected a bonus check, substantial bonus check, but he's given a coupon for a free turkey. Oh, somebody finally voted yes. I'll be right back. I just gotta go to the washroom real quick. You can look at the turkey certificate. Oops. I'm back. Oh. There. Fix the camera. That was probably exciting to watch that turkey picture the whole time. Here, check out the Asteroids version of the 2600 compared. Ah, they got me. Got me again when I was looking at the chat to see if anybody said anything. Never looking at chat again. You're setting records, you know. Okay, I looked at chat again, but it wasn't anybody. It was just my bot. Oh, that was close. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Is that like a teleport? Cleared that screen like mad. Oh, that was close. I almost got nailed. Oh, that's it for me. I got nailed. Oh, that was so close.